1892, two rival clubs merge in a gritty industrial city. Their new crest becomes a symbol of impossible ambition, and within 2 decades, Newcastle United are crowned champions 3 times, rewriting football law itself in the process. A record crowd of 68,386 piles into St James's Park, hoping to witness legends like Gallacher and McCracken chase glory with every breath. But for every golden era, there's a looming heartbreak waiting in the shadows. This is Newcastle's best, a story of highs, lows, and a restless pursuit for greatness. What is it about this club, its people, and its icons that creates such wild hope? And why has chasing those dreams proved so costly? Bill McCracken arrives from Belfast Distillery in 1904, a wiry fullback with a sharp mind for the game's hidden geometry. He studies the new offside law and finds its weakness. With every opponent's attack, McCracken steps up, arms raised, catching forwards, offside again and again. By 1907, referees are blowing their whistles so often at St James's Park that the crowd starts to groan. But the tactic works. Newcastle United become nearly impossible to break down. 3 league titles arrive in 5 years, 1905, 1907, 1909, each built on the back of a defensive line that moves as one, always a step ahead. Frank Hudspeth soon joins McCracken, forming a partnership that runs through the heart of the Edwardian side. Hudspeth, known as Old Surefoot, is relentless and calm, a penalty specialist who rarely misses from the spot. He captains the team through the early 1920s, his left foot delivering both tackles and goals. Over 19 seasons, Hudspeth racks up 472 appearances, a record that will stand for decades. Together, Hudspeth and McCracken anchor a defence that seems unbreakable, marshalling the line with a discipline few can match. Opponents complain, but the rules are the rules. McCracken's offside trap becomes so notorious that in 1925, the Football Association rewrites the law. Now only 2 defenders, not 3, are needed between the attacker and the goal. The change is meant to open up the game, to bring back the spectacle of goals. But it also means Newcastle must adapt. The era of the defensive masterclass begins to fade, and the club looks for new ways to win. McCracken's influence stretches far beyond Tyneside. Italian coach Vittorio Pozzo calls him the master of fuori gioco, and McCracken even pens a booklet explaining his methods. Years later, he's still scouting for talent, well into his 90s, always searching for the next player who can read the game as he did. Hudspeth, meanwhile, carves out his own legend, scoring 25 of his 37 Newcastle goals from the penalty spot, a model of reliability in an age of chaos. The crowd at St James Park knows what it's seeing. Defenders who turn risk into routine, who make the extraordinary look simple. But as the new offside law takes hold, Newcastle's fortunes begin to shift. The club needs a new kind of hero, someone who can thrive in a game now tilted toward the attacker. The stage is set for a different kind of legend to emerge, one who will chase goals with the same hunger that McCracken and Hudspeth once chased clean sheets. matched in a single league campaign. Every week, the crowds swell. The Gallagher end fills early, hoping to witness another flash of brilliance. March brings Arsenal to Tyneside. The stands groan under the weight of 67,211 fans, the largest league crowd Newcastle has ever drawn. Gallacher scores again, a poacher's finish after a scramble in the box, and the roar carries out over the Tyne. By season's end, Newcastle are champions for the fourth time, but it's Gallacher who becomes legend. His fire and cunning have made him more than a scorer. He's a force that bends matches to his will. The press call him the greatest centre-forward in Britain. Defenders try to rattle him, but Gallacher just laughs, shrugs off the kicks and scores again. He's sent off more than once, but the crowd forgives him. They see the fight in him, the refusal to back down. In 3 seasons, he racks up 82 goals in 90 league appearances, his reputation growing with every match. Gallacher's myth grows beyond the numbers. Kids in the back lanes of Newcastle dream of wearing his number, of leading the line with the same swagger. He sets a standard for those who come after, the first to make the black and white number 9 shirt something more than a number. In the years to come, every striker is measured against the fire that Gallacher brought to the pitch in the spring of 1927, when Newcastle United belonged to a fearless Scot and the city believed anything was possible. Jackie Milburn stands in the tunnel at Wembley, May 1951, boots laced and head bowed. The roar outside is a living thing, 100,000 voices pressing against the concrete. He's come a long way from Ashington's pits, and now, as Newcastle's number 9, he carries the hopes of a city that still wears the scars of war. Milburn's eyes find George Robledo, the Chilean forward who's become his partner in goals and mischief. Stan Seymour, the manager, gives a nod. The team steps out into the sunlight. Blackpool are the favourites. All week, the papers have called it the Matthews Final, as if Stanley Matthews is owed the cup by fate. But Milburn knows better. The first half is a grind. Blackpool's offside trap snaps shut again and again. Milburn has a goal chalked off. Handball, they say, though he swears it never touched his arm. The crowd grumbles, tension rising. 5 minutes into the second half, the game breaks open. Robledo threads a pass through the lines. Milburn is gone, past the trap, past the last defender, and he buries it low beyond farm. The Gallowgate end, miles away, sends up a cheer that seems to reach all the way to Tyneside. 5 minutes later, Ernie Taylor flicks a back heel and Milburn, 25 yards out, hammers a left foot shot that knocks him off his feet. The ball is in the top corner before Farm can move. Stan Mortensen, Blackpool's own legend, walks over and shakes Milburn's hand. "That's the greatest goal I've ever seen," he says. Newcastle win 2-0. The cup is theirs. A year later, Milburn leads Newcastle out again. Arsenal this time. The final is brutal. Wally Barnes goes off injured after half an hour, and Arsenal are down to 10 men. Still, they hold out. 84 minutes gone. Robledo rises for a header. The net bulges, and Newcastle have defended the trophy. Back-to-back FA Cups, the first club to do it since the 1890s. Milburn's legend grows with every season. In 1955, he writes his name into the record books. The final against Manchester City is barely underway when Len White swings in a corner. Milburn meets it with his head, 45 seconds gone. Wembley stunned. It's the fastest goal the stadium has ever seen in a final. City lose a man to injury, and Newcastle run out 3-1 winners. 3 cups in 5 years. Milburn, the coal miner's son, stands with the trophy again, a smile shy and broad. 200 goals in black and white, 3 FA Cups. For the people in the terraces and the back lanes, Milburn is more than a footballer. He's proof that a lad from the northeast can walk out at Wembley and make the whole country watch. When he dies in 1988, thousands line the streets as his cortege passes St James's Park. The statue at the ground's entrance shows him in mid-stride, head up, chasing another lost cause. For Newcastle, Milburn is the measure. Every hero after him, Shearer, Macdonald, Beardsley, walks in his shadow. But in the 1950s, when the city needed a champion, it was Milburn who ran fastest, shot hardest, and brought the cup home. Joe Harvey stands in the dugout at St James's Park, collar up, eyes fixed on the pitch. It's spring 1969, and Newcastle United are about to step into Europe's spotlight for the first time. Few expect much from this side, no major trophies since the FA Cup in 1955, and no English club has ever lifted the Intercities Fairs Cup. But Harvey believes in his men and in his captain, Bobby Moncur, a quiet Scot whose leadership has steadied the team all season. The Fairs Cup run begins with a hammering of Feyenoord, 4-0 at home. Then Sporting Lisbon are squeezed out, 2-1 on aggregate. Real Zaragoza push them to the limit. Newcastle scrape through on away goals after a 4-4 tie. Each round adds a layer of belief. On Tyneside, hope grows with every European night. The quarter-final brings Vitória Setúbal, dispatched after a 5-goal blitz at home. Glasgow Rangers fall next, a 2-0 win at St James's, sealing Newcastle's place in the final. The final is a two-legged affair against Újpest Dózsa, Hungarian champions and heavy favourites. The first leg in Newcastle draws a capacity crowd. For over an hour, the match hangs in the balance. Then Moncur, who has never scored for Newcastle, rises for a loose ball and lashes it in. The ground erupts. 9 minutes later, he does it again. Jimmy Scott adds a third. Newcastle walk off 3-0 up, but the job is only half done. 2 weeks later, Budapest is a cauldron. Újpest score twice before halftime, their fans roaring the comeback. In the dressing room, Harvey's message is simple: get one goal and it's over. 3 minutes into the second half, Moncur, the defender turned unlikely hero, bundles in his third of the tie. The Hungarians are stunned. Ben Arentoff volleys in a second. Alan Fogon, just on as a substitute, sprints half the length of the pitch to poke home a third. Newcastle win 3-2 on the night, 6-2 on aggregate. Moncur lifts the Fairs Cup, the first English captain to do so. Harvey, once the club's cup-winning captain, now leads them to European glory as manager. For Newcastle, it's the last piece of silverware for decades to come. The city celebrates long into the night, but the years ahead will be lean. Still, in 1969, Newcastle are kings of Europe, and Bobby Moncur, a defender who never used to score, has written his name into club legend. Malcolm Macdonald steps out at St James Park for the first time on August 21st, 1971. He's just 21, signed from Luton Town for a record £180,000, a fee that has the city buzzing and the stands packed with expectation. Liverpool are the visitors, a team bristling with confidence and silverware. The crowd wants a hero. Macdonald delivers before the hour is out. His first goal comes with a burst of pace, leaving defenders trailing and the keeper helpless. He celebrates with arms outstretched, swagger already written into his stride. Soon after, he's there again, this time a thunderous finish that rattles the Gallowgate end. The chant starts to roll. Super Mac, superstar, how many goals have you scored so far? Before the afternoon ends, he completes his hat-trick, every finish more emphatic than the last. Liverpool pull 2 back, but it's Macdonald's name echoing out as Newcastle win 3-2. He tries for a fourth, collides with Ray Clements, and is carried off with blood on his shirt, grinning through the pain. That's the introduction. Power, hunger, and a touch of chaos. Over the next 5 seasons, Macdonald becomes the face of Newcastle's attack. He scores 30 goals in his first year, 138 in total from 258 games. He's built like a boxer, quick off the mark, always ready to shoot from distance or muscle through a crowd. The number 9 shirt is his armour. He leads the line through cup runs and near misses. 1974's FA Cup final, 1976's League Cup final. Both times, Newcastle fall short, but Macdonald's goals keep hope alive. In the semi-final against Burnley, he scores twice at Hillsborough, each strike a lesson in speed and timing. He wins the First Division Golden Boot in 1975-76, the best in England, and earns his England call-up. 5 goals in 1 game against Cyprus at Wembley. No Englishman has ever done more in a single match, but the glory is always close, never quite in hand. Newcastle's league form stutters, the cup dreams fade at Wembley, and the city's hunger for silverware grows sharper. Off the pitch, Macdonald's confidence sometimes clashes with management. After 5 years, Arsenal come calling with £333,333 and 34 pence, a fee negotiated to the last penny. Macdonald leaves in a private jet, but his legend stays behind. Years later, he'll return as an opponent and score a hat-trick against his old club, but for Newcastle, the memory is fixed. The Rolls Royce at the signing, the debut hat-trick, the bloodied shirt, and the roar of a crowd that believed every time he took the field. The years that follow show how quickly the thrill can turn to emptiness. The club struggles to replace him, searching for another number 9 with the same fire. The swagger and the goals are gone, but the echo remains. Supermac, superstar. For a brief electric spell in the 1970s, he was Newcastle's answer to every hope and every heartbreak. Paul Gascoigne stands on the touchline at St James's Park, boots scuffed, hair wild, waiting for his number to go up. It's April 13th, 1985, and the crowd is restless. Newcastle are chasing a winner against Queen's Park Rangers. Gascoigne, just 17, comes on for George Riley. He barely touches the ball, but something changes. The city's newest prodigy has arrived. A year earlier, he'd captained Newcastle's youth team to the FA Youth Cup final. The first leg at St James's ends in a nervous 0-0 draw. The second leg, away at Watford, is all Gascoigne. He scores twice. Newcastle win 4-1, and the trophy is theirs. Joe Allen, his teammate, calls it the Gaza final. Jack Charlton, the manager, wants him in the first team the next day. Gascoigne's rise is sudden, but not unexpected. Everyone at the club knows they have something rare. By the start of the 1985-86 season, Gascoigne is in the starting 11. He scores his first senior goal against Oxford United in September, a sharp finish at the Gallowgate end. The crowd senses what's coming. A midfielder who can glide past defenders, pick a pass no one else sees, and shoot from distance. He scores 9 more that year, each one a signal that Newcastle have found a new kind of player. The following season is harder. Newcastle slip down the table, but Gascoigne keeps running, keeps trying things others wouldn't dare. His name spreads beyond Tyneside. In 1988, the votes come in. Gascoigne is named PF a Young Player of the Year. He's 20 and already the best young footballer in England. That summer, The phone rings off the hook. Manchester United want him, but Tottenham move quickest. The deal is done for £2.2 million, a British record. Gascoigne's first act as a Spurs player is to buy a house for his parents. Newcastle get the money but lose the player. The sense of loss is immediate. Gascoigne returns to St James's Park in a Tottenham shirt that September. The crowd gives him a mixed welcome: pride, regret, a hint of betrayal. Newcastle once again have produced a star only to watch him shine elsewhere. For supporters, it's a familiar ache. The city remembers the goals, the smile, the way he made the game look easy. But the promise is gone, sold for a cheque and a handful of headlines. The search for a new hero begins again. Keegan walks into St James Park in February 1992, sleeves rolled, eyes bright with possibility. The club is teetering above the drop. With one win in 13, the mood brittle and anxious. But Keegan brings something different, a spark, a promise that football here can be more than survival. His first act is to demand belief. Training sharpens, the tempo rises, and the message is simple: attack, entertain, make the crowd roar again. 11 straight wins open the next campaign. Newcastle storm the second division, clinching the title with 96 points, scoring 92 goals. The city starts to dream. Promotion means new faces and new ambition. Keegan moves fast. Andy Cole arrives from Bristol City, a striker with a quick step and an eye for goal. Cole scores 41 in his first full season, breaking records as Newcastle finish third in the Premier League. Peter Beardsley, the local magician, returns from Everton, linking midfield to attack with a touch that makes defenders dizzy. Rob Lee, signed from Charlton, becomes the engine. Box to box, always available. Philippe Albert, the Belgian with a defender's body and a playmaker's mind, joins to launch attacks from deep. Warren Barton, Lee Clark and John Beresford fill out a side that plays with pace, width and freedom. Keegan's football is relentless. Fullbacks bomb forward, wingers cut inside and midfielders break lines. It's not about holding back. The crowd senses it. Every home game feels like a celebration. Newcastle finished third in their first season back, then sixth, scoring more than anyone except Manchester United. But it isn't enough. Keegan wants more, and so does the city. The summer of 1995 brings a new wave. Ferdinand signs from QPR for £6 million, the club's record. He's strong, quick and ruthless in the box. David Ginola arrives from Paris Saint-Germain, a winger with the swagger of a matador, ready to take on anyone. Shaka Hislop comes in goal, Warren Barton at right back. The squad is deep, hungry and brimming with flair. They start the season like a thunderclap, winning 9 of their first 10. By Christmas, Newcastle are 12 points clear at the top. The city buzzes with hope. St James Park sells out every week, the terraces singing long after the final whistle. Keegan stands on the touchline, arms raised, urging his team forward. The football is wild and beautiful, sometimes reckless, always brave. Every signing fits the plan. Ferdinand and Beardsley click instantly. Ginola drifts past defenders and the midfield presses high, winning the ball back in dangerous places. Even the defenders join in. Albert chips Peter Schmeichel from 30 yards in a 5-0 win over Manchester United, a goal that becomes legend. There's no thought of shutting up shop. Newcastle go for the throat, chasing goals until the last second. The city believes this is their time. For the first time in decades, Newcastle isn't just competing, they're setting the pace. Keegan's revolution has turned a club on the brink into the most exciting side in the country. The entertainers are born and the whole of English football is watching. Spring 1996. Newcastle United are 12 points clear at the top of the Premier League. The city humming with hope. Every home game is a festival. Keegan's team attacks in waves. Ferdinand in the box. Ginola on the run. Beardsley pulling strings. By February, the black and white shirts are everywhere. Shop windows filled with banners. The Gallowgate end louder than it's been in decades. But the lead begins to shrink. Manchester United keep winning. Newcastle lose at West Ham, then at Arsenal, then again at Liverpool. The 4-3 at Anfield, Keegan slumped over the hoardings, eyes wide and empty, becomes the image of a dream slipping away. Each setback weighs heavier. Peter Schmeichel turns into a wall at St James's Park, denying everything, until Cantona scores at the other end. 12 points become 9, then 6, then 3. The pressure is visible. Keegan's face in the dugout, hands clenched, jaw set. In the dressing room, the players feel it too. Shoulders tense, passes rushed. The easy joy of autumn replaced by a nervous energy that won't go away. On the pitch, Newcastle keep playing the only way they know. Full throttle, always forward. But the goals dry up. Ferdinand glances a header wide. Ginola's shots curl past the post. The crowd groans, then urges them on again, desperate to believe. Each missed chance feels like a door closing. Every draw or defeat is another step closer to the unthinkable. The city starts to feel it. In the pubs and on the buses, people talk in low voices. What if it slips away? What if this is as close as it gets? The sense of something precious, right there and then gone, hangs over every match. Then with the title still in reach, Keegan erupts. The cameras catch him after a scrappy win over Leeds. Voice shaking, finger jabbing at the air. I will love it if we beat them. Love it. The words echo across the country. It's raw, unscripted, a manager's heart on display. For a moment, everyone sees the strain, the weight of a city's longing, the agony of seeing it slip through his fingers. Final day, Newcastle draw at home to Tottenham. The scoreboard shows 1-1. Manchester United win at Middlesbrough, second place. The stadium is silent except for scattered applause. Players stand on the pitch, heads bowed, not quite believing it's over. Keegan walks slowly to the tunnel, eyes glassy, the dream shattered. The city is stunned. People drift from St James's Park in silence, scarves tucked away, voices flat. Kids who had painted their faces black and white now walk home quietly beside their parents. The parade never happens. No open-top bus, no trophy in the square, just the ache of what might have been. For months, the feeling lingers, a kind of heartbreak that's hard to explain to anyone who wasn't there. Newcastle had come closer than anyone dared hope. They had played football that made the country fall in love. But in the end, it wasn't enough. The search for a new hero begins, but the wound of 1996 will never quite heal. Keegan, once the face of joy and belief, is now the face of loss. A man who gave everything and whose heart broke in front of millions. Alan Shearer stands at the gates of St James Park in July 1996, flanked by his parents and a throng of reporters. The ink on the contract is barely dry. Blackburn Rovers have accepted a world record £15 million fee, and Shearer, the Premier League's top scorer and England's hero from Euro 96, has chosen Newcastle over Manchester United. He's come home, turning down the lure of Old Trafford, the promise of trophies, and the certainty of medals. Instead, he walks into the club he supported as a boy, the club that once turned him away as a teenager. Keegan, his childhood idol, is manager now. The city is electric. Shearer's arrival is a statement. Newcastle fans queue for hours to buy shirts with his name. The club shop runs out of letters before midday. The Gallowgate end expects not just goals, but redemption for the heartbreak of the year before. Shearer is handed the number 9 shirt, the same one worn by Milburn and Macdonald. The pressure is immense, but he thrives on it. In his first season, he scores 25 league goals. The partnership with Ferdinand is thunder and lightning, power, movement, and relentless finishing. Keegan's side finishes second again, but Shearer's goals keep hope alive. Every strike is met with a single raised arm, a celebration that becomes a symbol for a city. The years roll on, managers come and go, Dalglish, Gullit, Robson, but Shearer remains. He plays through injuries that would sideline lesser men. His ankle is rebuilt with pins and plates, but he keeps scoring. Under Sir Bobby Robson, he finds new life. Newcastle reach the Champions League, facing Juventus and Barcelona. Shearer scores a hat-trick against Bayer Leverkusen, leads the line in Europe, and drags the club back into the Premier League's top 4. The goals keep coming, headers, volleys, penalties, tap-ins. Each one edges him closer to Jackie Milburn's record. February 4th, 2006, Portsmouth at home. Shearer races onto a flick from Shola Amiobi, powers the ball past the keeper, and stands in front of the Gallowgate, arm raised. It's his 201st goal for Newcastle United, breaking a record that stood for nearly half a century. The stadium shakes with noise. He finishes his career with 206 goals in black and white, more than any player before him. For 10 years, he is Newcastle's captain, their talisman and their standard. He never wins a trophy, but his loyalty becomes a kind of victory. He chooses Newcastle over medals, roots over glory. When he retires, the city builds a statue. For generations, kids in the Northeast dream of being Alan Shearer, not just for the goals, but for the decision to come home and stay. Mike Ashley steps onto Tyneside in May 2007, buying Sir John Hall's 41.6% stake for just over £55 million. Within weeks, he launches a formal bid for the rest, £1 per share, valuing Newcastle United at £133 million. By midsummer, Ashley controls more than 90% of the club. The shares are delisted from the London Stock Exchange. He promises a new era, but the reality inside St James's Park is less certain. Ashley is seen in the away end, pint in hand, wearing the black and white shirt among the fans. For a moment, it feels like the club has found an owner who understands the city's hunger. But behind the scenes, cracks begin to show. Keegan returns as manager in January 2008, greeted by a city that still remembers his miracles. fade, managers come and go, and supporters grow restless. The club is now a trading desk, not a dream. In October 2021, the news breaks. The Saudi Public Investment Fund with Amanda Staveley and the Reuben brothers completes a £305 million takeover. The Premier League confirms the deal after receiving legal assurances that the Saudi state will not control the club. PIF takes 80%, the Reubens and Staveley split the rest. Within months, investments flow in, over £224 million beyond the purchase price. By 2024, Staveley sells her stake, leaving PIF with 85% and the Reubens with 15%. For the supporters, it's a new dawn. The years of drift are over. The club is no longer for sale, no longer a punchline. On the terraces, hope returns. Every seat is filled, every voice raised. The city believes again. Ownership has changed, but the resilience of the fans remains, the one constant, carrying Newcastle through every storm, waiting for the next great night under the lights. In 1892, two local clubs merged to form Newcastle United, setting in motion over a century of triumphs and heartbreak. From the record 68,386 fans filling St James's Park in 1930 to Alan Shearer's unmatched 206 goals, each era has built on the last. The club's 3 Edwardian League titles, repeated FA Cup glory in the 1950s and the 1969 Fairs Cup reflect periods of dominance, while decades without silverware highlight enduring challenges. Documents confirm ownership has changed hands multiple times, most recently in 2021 with the Saudi-led takeover. Yet the answer to whether Newcastle's greatest days lie ahead remains unknown, as trophies have proved elusive in modern times. What is clear from the evidence is the club's resilience, the loyalty of its supporters, and the lasting impact of legends like Milburn, Gallacher, and Shearer. The facts show a club still defined by hope, history, and the unbreakable bond with its city.